One thing that I've really learned about standards is standards are the minimums that you tolerate. And you can say you have certain standards, but if you tolerate less, well, then those are your standards, not what you purport yourself to be.
Sharp strategies, sweet success. Hello, everyone, and welcome. You're listening to Sharp Strategies, Sweet Success. I'm your host, Tiffany Spodensky. And today we are talking with Adam Rossen of the Rossen Law Firm down in Florida. Before I misspeak, are you guys in Orlando? Is that right?
No, we're in South Florida, so between Boca and Fort Lauderdale. So we're in the part of Florida that most of us came from the Northeast, at least either recently or one or two generations ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I've known Adam for a long time through Great Legal Marketing and Ben Glass. I've met up with him at a few events and generally probably keep up with each other on LinkedIn. I probably see your post every now and then. And I really appreciate having him on the show. Welcome, Adam.
Tiff, thanks for having me. It's so great. I was thinking back, I think we've known each other maybe almost 10 years now. It's kind of crazy how time flies. And you see where the journeys have taken us and our friends and people, it's really cool stuff.
So start just this is probably one of the last few podcasts I'm recording this year. So I'm thinking 2026, marketing plans, the future, that kind of thing, as people do at the end of the year. What are you guys doing at the Rossen Law Firm, or what are your plans for marketing that you're wanting to share?
Yeah, well, we're doing a ton. And really, we can keep it a marketing if you want, or if you want to talk just overall like law firm growth management too. But I'd say the last 4 months, 4 to 5 months have been some of probably the most trying and difficult time of my career owning a law firm, which is now at, I think 17, 18 years. So it's been an amazing experience, extremely hard, but it's what was needed. And I'm very happy and confident that we're on the right track. So if you
Yeah.
want, we can definitely, that's something to go into. And I've been focused a lot on our business plan and marketing plan for next year.
Well, I don't know how much you want to reveal or talk about, but like, what have your struggles been recently?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely talk about it because look, listening to your podcast and others, these are the things that help me all the time. So for the last, I'd say maybe 2 years, and we have a lot of different business coaches, and we're in the firm and myself, we're in some different groups, but a lot of our coaches have said that we had a massive culture problem at the firm. And you think about it and you're like, well, not really, or you want to push back against your coaches. And but it's funny because these are people that are not emotionally invested and they're looking from the outside in. So a lot of times they can see things that I couldn't really see. And they said that really it stemmed from a lack of accountability. And we did not hold people accountable and we had let our standards continue to drop. And one thing that I've really learned about standards is standards are the minimums that you tolerate. And you can say you have certain standards, but if you tolerate less, well, then those are your standards, not what you purport yourself to be or, what you say, right? That the firm stands for all these things. Well, it doesn't if you allow all these other things. And so we had been told that for about a year or two. And basically by the summer, I really started to realize it. And I said, look, we have five amazingly talented attorneys besides me. I've been out of production for 4 years, but we had that all-star team of excellent attorneys, but no role players. Everybody wanted to take, if this was a basketball team, everybody wanted to take the last shot. Nobody wanted to handle the little cases, the DUIs, the certain things that have a big part of the business. So it really got me thinking, and it became also just a lot of attorneys and other people saying, well, I disagree with the marketing. Well, you don't own the firm. It's not your real, if you disagree with the marketing, you probably shouldn't be here. We had a massive undertaking to go from an attorney-led sales team to a non-attorney with professional salespeople led sales team because we've been stagnant at our revenue level for 3 years in a row. And one of my great wins of last year was I put together a private peer group. You can call it a mastermind if you want, but really it's a peer group. There is no guru. I put it together, but I'm certainly not the leader of 10 of the largest criminal defense attorneys across the country. And there's probably about 50 million plus of annual revenue in this room. And I think we're maybe the sixth or seventh largest. So we're definitely in the bottom 50% of revenue. We have these monthly Zooms, we have meetups 2 or 3 times a year. And our very first meetup in May, we brought in a sales guru, Jeb Blunt, who's pretty well known. Like, I mean, he's got books in the airport, at like Hudson in the airport. So he's an airport book guy, okay? Kind of high level. We paid a ton of money to have him come in. And he did a whole sales day for us. And everybody in the group who is larger than me has non-attorney sales people. Myself and everybody smaller had attorney run sales. And just by asking everybody, being vulnerable and talking to Jeb and everything, I made the decision, we're switching. And I knew it was going to take pretty much the rest of the year. And it has. And it's gone exceptionally well. Little hiccups here and there, of course, but a lot of the attorneys didn't like that. Right. And so I just knew, I'm like, it's time. Now, I had privately planned to do this over 12 to 18 months. And it just so happened there was a series of events that pretty much forced it to happen in 3 to 4 months. 2 attorneys left to start their own law firm, and they're going to do very well, the two of them. And I'm very happy for them because they're going to get to do what they want to do, which is attorney sales and make their decisions on marketing and how they practice. And then we had an attorney pass away unexpectedly. So
Oh my
from
goodness.
Labor Day, we were already down about 2 lawyers before Labor Day, but Labor Day is when pretty much everything just changed. And so the month of September and October, I worked every single day, 7 days a week, at least minimum 12-hour days for at least 60 days, those 2 months. And, I mean, not much has let up, but it was really tough. It was extremely tough. Now, the 2 lawyers who left, they gave me plenty of notice. And I thought overall it was a good transition with them. And I appreciate that. And I'm sure they appreciate the things that the firm did for them as well on their way out. But it became, okay, I don't have the luxury of carefully planning this over 12 to 18 months. This is all happening all at once while still grieving for an attorney and a friend who we lost unexpectedly. And obviously, and taking care of the team and taking care of our clients. We're at 20 to 25 people on our team now. So dealing with that, I mean, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about resiliency. I've been in for 6 months in private mindset coaching, which helped tremendously during something like that. So that's been excellent for me. And I'm very excited to say that through this, we saw which teammates really kind of galvanized and banded together to say, don't worry, we got this. And then we saw a few that struggled and, right, whether it was just with additional culture or with just some of the mindset issues. And we've shed our skin with them as well. But the long story short is my wife's a prosecutor in Palm Beach County, and I had a lot of tough conversations with her saying, well, at first it was, we interviewed 1 million people, right? Then it was, we're maybe about 30 days away from you having to leave and join the firm. And my wife loves being a prosecutor. She's in the gang unit. She's been there 10 years. That's a big part of her identity. And her having a separate work identity from me and from like our relationship is very important to her. It's important to me too. But it's like, okay, the family business. And so we're talking this through, some arguments, a lot of passionate discussions and just honest discussions. But it is what it is. And she agreed very reluctantly, but also she's like, I'm going to find you people. I was like, okay, we got to hustle. Long story short, over the course of the last 60 days, we've hired a managing attorney who's coming in January 5th, who is just absolutely going to be amazing. And I've learned a lot of differences where she can handle cases. She can handle any type of case. She still wants to be involved in cases, and she has 10 years of managerial experience prior to coming here. So we just have to train her in our way, but I don't need to train her to be a leader or manager. And I've noticed a lot of times when we're promoting people from within, I've been very cognizant of the Peter principle, is that people get promoted to a level of incompetence. And then, and how do we prevent that? Now, I even look at that for myself, right? When we do become an 8-figure law firm, I'm going to need to level myself up to be an 8-figure CEO and an 8-figure owner of a law firm, and so on and so forth. So, but we're very excited for her. There's a ton of buzz, and she's already attracting a lot of additional candidates. We have some really exciting announcements that we can't make right now, but as far as some other really talented people in the legal industry that want to come and are going to be coming to the firm. And one of the other things I noticed is, or I made the decision, as I said, no more all-star team. We're going to build a real team. And this goes back to me being a high school basketball coach for 10 years and winning a state championship. It's we need one or two alphas, and then we need really good role players. Oh, wait, I can just do DUIs? I love DUIs. I don't want to handle the heavy stuff. Well, great. You might have a perfect spot for us, being that utility infielder on a baseball team, right? Or being that 3-point specialist on on a championship level winning basketball team. You need role players. You can't have 5 alphas who are all jockeying for position. So making it a little hierarchical in nature. And that's what we're very deliberately doing, because it's like, no, we don't want that, right? We want people to fit in and find their niche and be happy with their niche, because we want a great work environment. So it's been a ton of stuff, Tiff. And it's fortuitous that this is the reason we pushed our interview back probably 2 or 3 times, because I went from not being the primary attorney on a case in 4 years to overnight taking 80 cases. And for the next few weeks, I have 150 cases. That's only going to be for the next few weeks. But yeah, so it's been a lot. But learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about the team. And I'm always me. I'm always trying to learn and grow and get better.
Yeah, we did have to reschedule the podcast a few times, and it's not something I sweat in the least because I'm in so many meetings. Honestly, sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, nice. But I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense now hearing your story, because that has been you had a very turbulent few weeks. And you mentioned resilience, which I'm hearing more and more about, like people talking about basically like raising your stress threshold, I think maybe is probably like a way to describe it without defining it. And one thing that you've talked about a few times is building a team with that coach mindset, with the mindset that you're building a group of people who are going to go out on the court together, go compete together, and they all need to work together. And not everyone's the quarterback. I'm tough with sports analogies. Not everyone's the captain. But I definitely get it. And I know attorneys who run their law firms as though they are the coach. And they see something like cheerleading for their team as being like critically important to what they do,
Right.
being
It's a big
there.
piece of the culture.
Yeah. And like you said, culture, just creating that whole culture where everyone is working well together. So it sounds like you're on the cusp of just like these huge, big changes. You're getting these new hires in, you've offboarded some people, you're changing some, and you lost somebody too. And I'm very sorry to hear about that. That's terrible. So what are you using, like any systems? Like what comes to mind is EOS. Like, are you using EOS or some kind of similar system to rebuild?
So we've been using EOS since 2021. It's funny, right? When in one of the GLM masterminds back in the day, maybe it was 2018, Ben started talking about it, and I was at 3.5 people, and I'm like, nah. And Ben's like, no, you can take some principles and start slowly. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, I don't need this stuff. I need more clients, more cases. I'm just going to focus on marketing and trying to sales and build and make money, right? And of course, 2021, when we were skyrocketing, I was like, ooh, we need this. And in 2021, we 2.5x revenue. We went from 6 to 12 employees. And then in 22, we went from 12 to 20 employees. So having that has been fantastic. But I have noticed tremendously that there's a lot of gaps in EOS, a ton of gaps, especially for law firms, especially at various revenue levels, because whether it's PI, family, immigration, criminal, fee-for-service law firms, or even the contingency, but just B2C consumer law firms, we hit about very similar problems at either similar revenue or employee or attorney numbers. And EOS is not flexible in that at all. So we've really made our own modified version of EOS. And the more I'm starting to meet people and talk to people, especially across the country, as I know a lot of people and in South Florida, I'm talking to them about how we're deliberately modifying EOS to make it significantly more flexible, because the way you need to run your business at $1 million is a lot different than 2.5, 3.5, 5, 7, 10. And we've been in that kind of that valley of despair a little bit with profits and growth. And like, we're not big, but we're not small. What do we do? And how do we not have death by meeting?
Oh
right?
my goodness. Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it. So I've deliberately shortened a lot of the meetings and said, look, 30 minutes, let's get right down to the point. Let's go.
That's something I've done, which for my company, I've restructured some of my programs so it's less meeting heavy on me. And that was an absolute necessity because when your 9 to 5 is nearly back to back calendar meetings, you don't have time to do the stuff like work on your business or do the stuff you need to do for
Right.
your clients. And it just becomes a lot of talk. And very happily, like I know very few people who want more meetings. So my calendar's emptying out for 2026, and I'm just so thrilled. So you're modifying EOS a little bit and you're doing like coaching groups. Are you doing just one coaching group or are you doing like more than one?
Well, I always try to keep my network wide, but also not have too many competing voices. It's like, right? And I've been victim of that too. So I've been in HTM and how to manage a small law firm, so Arjo Robbins group for about 3 years. It's going very well. I'm not in their masterminds, but I'm in their group. And we're using their chief sales officer program to help us with our non-attorney sales team. And that's been excellent. And but I also like having the flexibility to go to some of the masterminds like John Fisher's where I can come and go as I please. If I have an issue coming up, right, or an issue in the firm, or I'm able to take a trip, fantastic. But I don't have to feel that I have to be at every single one for the year because I'm paying a ton of money to be going to be locked in. Same goes with Maximum Lawyer. I spoke at they brought the conference back. I saw our buddy Charlie there. I got to speak on stage about some of the cool stuff that I'm doing with my internship program. And they have their guild, which is their mastermind, which I'm in, but they have the guild day. So the day before the conference, I'm like, it works perfectly. But could I go this last January? No. Am I going this January? Just the schedule's not allowing for it. So I like to have flexibility. I like to meet different groups of people. And I'm doing also a lot of local networking. There's a networking group called Provisors. It's not limited to attorneys, but attorneys are one of the focuses. And so I became a group leader of that. And instead of the cheesy networking groups, I'm trying to make it more of a business growth group and also have some fun with it because I don't want to not have fun. So there's a ton of things that I'm still involved in, just trying to manage it all.
Yeah. I mean, you sound really busy. Like how are you still doing like 10, 12-hour days or have you backed that up a little bit?
No, I am. So like people talk about work-life balance. I think it's bullshit. I like work-life harmony. I had 6 conferences in 7 weeks in the middle of the shitstorm, right? So in October and November, 6 conferences in 7 weeks. And I could have canceled. I could have said, well, I'm needed in legal, well, this and that. But I really thought about it and I said, listen, I'm speaking at 2 of these. I need to go to those two. But also, that's my happy place. Like, I miss my family when I'm there. My boys are now 6 and 3. I miss my wife, but I get to go see people across the country. I'm at NTL's Business of Law Summit in Arizona. I only knew 2 people. One was Ben. And I'm sitting there for 2 days hanging with Ben, where Ben is more of now my contemporary, not a mentor, and he's not speaking on stage, and it's not his conference. And we're just talking, hanging out. And I got to learn about MSOs, managed service organizations, and the ABS model for Arizona, things that I'm very interested in that we're looking to position the firm for massive growth and beyond. And I really wanted to go to that. So yeah, it's hard, but I enjoy it. And that's the most important thing. Plus, it's my business. This is my business. It's the growth engine. This is what I want to do. So it's been difficult going back into cases, but it's like, okay, I asked some people, I'm like, they go, oh, Adam, you travel so much for work. And I go, well, is that work? Is me flying to Nashville to hang out with a bunch of my buddies and speak on stage for 30 minutes about the really cool internship program that I built from scratch that had 13 interns last summer and 300 candidates from across the country to participate in an unpaid criminal justice internship? Is that work or is that exciting and fun for me? So I think a lot of it's mindset too. And that's just the way that I bring it. But one of the best investments that I've ever made is I have an executive assistant who's amazing, Carly. And I've gone through a few virtuals that just I needed. The joke is that I'm high maintenance, so but it's true. but I needed somebody here who also understood marketing. So Carly's in our marketing department. She's also my executive assistant. And I'm able to fit into 12-hour days, probably 36 hours worth of work.
Yeah, my executive assistant is just invaluable to me. I mean, managing email, managing calendars, it's incredible how much that little help just can kind of transform your efficiency because doing something like sending an email to check in about something, it doesn't take very much time, but like working out of your email is just such like a time suck and that's distracting, and so it's super helpful when you have somebody who can kind of handle those things for you so you can focus on
Yeah.
like the big picture stuff.
And Tiff, I read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell earlier this year, and I feel like I was like 2 or 3 years too late to read that because it's been out for a while, but it really helped. And I really do think if I was starting over from scratch, my first hire would be an EA, and it's helped so much. And for years, though, I was like, who am I? I had a lot of doubt and imposter syndrome. Like, does that make me pretentious? Am I now fancy? What are people gonna think? And again, I've been in this mindset coaching program for the last 6 months where it's because this stuff is real. And I'm just like, I am who I am. Doesn't matter what other people think. And yes, I have an executive assistant and I don't feel it's needed. And I don't
Yeah.
feel guilty in some way. It's kind of like one thing they always talk about is when somebody has a measure of success, there's a lot of fear in, well, if I reward myself with the really nice car, what are my parents and family going to think when I show up to Thanksgiving with a new Porsche or something, right? And what are they going to say? Like, and to me, I mean, all those thoughts and feelings are so valid, but they're so terrible. They're so destructive. It's total middle class mindset thinking. And I've learned so much from being in that mindset program. Now, I haven't gone out and bought a Porsche and brought it to Thanksgiving yet, but that's just one example, though, of where like our thoughts of how we're judged can really destroy some of our future growth and progress.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my husband and I deal with that really acutely because both of us come from rural Missouri. He grew up in a trailer house on 5 miles down a back road, and my parents had a house, but we weren't rich. My mom
Oh,
was a
you guys were the
hairdresser.
rich ones with the house.
Yeah, yeah, we had a house. And we moved out to Virginia, went to college. I think both of us were the first to finish college in our families, got careers, and pretty quickly made more money than anyone else in our family, and brag. But it's kind of weird to reconcile that. And you do, and we feel a weird kind of imposter syndrome, like we shouldn't be here. And it's tough. It's really tough. And you have to a lot of positive self talk and just like reassuring yourself, like you wouldn't be where you are without working really hard and earning it to some degree. But a fair bit of luck is always at play for sure.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, and just because this is a marketing podcast and you mentioned your assistant's doing a lot of marketing for you, like what are you guys planning on investing in 2026?
Yes, sure. So, I mean, we've actually gone back into LSAs and they've been pretty good for us. I stopped it for years and we've put back into that's going really well. Even PPC has been pretty good for us. We've been doing direct mail campaigns. Actually, I've written 2 books, one a DUI book in 2023, but this year here, I got it right here actually. It's our domestic violence book. So we're doing a lot of like direct mail, but instead of competing on price, we're showing value, right? And that we're high end. So that's how we're trying to stand out from the regular South Florida jail mail of, oh, we'll do your case on the cheap. Well, that's exciting, right? I come home and my mailbox is flooded with all these things saying, hey, you beat your wife and we'll do it for cheap. I'm like, no. So again, we have literally a 200-page book. We're also going to work on condensing it to maybe a 40-page version and do some A/B split testing on those things. And really, we're moving more into branding, right? When I started GLM, I would have pushed back, and I think it was the right move at that age. Like, don't come to me at branding when I have 200 grand, when I have 100 to 300 grand in annual revenue. I need more clients. 5 new clients is going to make a difference to me. One new client a month, 2 new clients a month is going to make a massive difference. And I get it where you can say, well, the way you speak to people, the way you treat people, your reputation, that is part of your brand. And I get that. But that's the me doing the organic part. I think from a marketing perspective, at that point, I just need direct response. I need clients. Now where we are with 25 people, multi-million-dollar law firm that's trying to get to 8 figures branding does, it plays a big role in it. And we're deciding how much money to allocate versus time to allocate, and still going back to just general referrals. We're building, so it's really cool stuff, I'll tell you. And this just shows how it's all part of the ecosystem. So I bought a 6,000 square foot office condo earlier this year. It's more money than I can, well, it's almost more money than I can afford. Like, it's a major stretch. It's a major thing. And we're gutting it and renovating it. But this is where vision comes into play, and also just having faith. And we're building a 40-person mock courtroom in it, which really is, it's a lawyer themed event space, right? We're going to host judicial fundraisers. We're going to host prosecutor fundraisers. All of my friends who are trial lawyers come and do a mock trial, and we'll help you get people, right? You want to host a meeting? I will be mad if you don't host your meetings in my space. We built a video studio, or we're building a full-on really nice video studio. And also with that courtroom, again, that's one of the reasons that I decided to be a group leader of this group called Provisors, Professional Advisors. And there's now 500 people in South Florida, probably 150 attorneys. And we're the Boca 4 chapter. There's 3 other Boca groups that don't have a physical location. They meet on Zoom. I will be upset if they're not using my location for their in-person meetings or for happy hours and different things. So I really want this to be a major part of our referral piece as well. Obviously, we needed a full-on HQ, and with some of the other businesses that I'm involved in, it's done and designed to just house more than a law firm. But it's a major investment. It's a big gamble, but I know it's going to pay off. And so a lot of it, just some good old-fashioned networking, referrals, relationships, just being out, being seen. We're continuing to work on the new sales process and build in a gas call program where we can constantly be calling our clients and former clients just to check in, see if there's anything we can help them with. Even especially for us, like, being arrested is such a negative experience that we want to check in 6 months later, a year later, just and say, how are you? What's going on? What can we, do you need a referral on anything? Right? Not even pitch our stuff, because we don't want them to get rearrested. But right, what else can we do? And so that's been a big piece as well. And this year was rebuilding our in-house marketing team. We have an in-house marketing team of 5 people. So
Wow.
yeah.
Who are the roles that you guys, or who are the people that you have?
Right. So we have our own in-house video editor and graphic designer, Murillo. He's in Brazil and he's fantastic. And we're really trying to amplify him with AI. We're not replacing him with AI. We are amplifying what he can do, because again, there's a lot of branding involved. Like, even on this book, for the people that are watching this, I can't, obviously, if we're listening to this on just an audio, we can't see it, but we have similar branding among this one. We went with a black and white instead of the RLF blue and orange, but there's little pieces of orange in here. It's the shield, which encompasses this 3/4 circle, which looks like Captain America. It has like the shape of like a Captain America's shield, because we shield our clients from the government. We redid our logo down here. So there's a lot of these things that just having this all look the same, I think, matters. And Murillo is great at that. We do have another VA who's overseas, and her job is to just be more of the organizer, the categorizer, the marketing, just a true marketing assistant, can just do a lot of things. And her job is to really assist everybody else. We do have an internal social media manager. That was Heather, who was dabbing me up before, but we do a lot on YouTube still. We're going to do even more on YouTube. And just with YouTube, social media, I've had a big focus on LinkedIn. And next year is going to be even a more major focus on LinkedIn. And that's Heather, and she's doing an excellent job. We have Carly, who is supposed to be like the projects. Carly is my executive assistant. And because I've been in legal recently, she's literally had to stop a lot of the marketing stuff just to assist with my calendar and everything else I need. But really, her job is to be more of a liaison with me, handle special projects, in-person events, just relationships, referrals, all that kind of stuff. And then we have Laura, who's been our marketing director and chief revenue officer for the last 2.5 years, but she's taken a big role in operations, and we needed to revamp our Salesforce. We use Salesforce for the firm. We don't have like Clio or
Wow.
MyCase. And so, but that's also part of the thing is this is the year of being in the middle, and being in the middle sucks, right? Luckily, we've finished the transition to the sales team. And Laura's our CRO, Chief Revenue Officer. So really it's supposed to be sales, intake sales and marketing. But now we needed to revamp our sales force. Massive project. It's getting better. We've had this attorney thing that, again, I wanted to happen in a year that all of a sudden happened. So it's been the year of being in the middle, and the middle truly does suck. But luckily, we have some amazingly talented people in the marketing team that can also cross pollinate. And I can't wait, and they can't either until they can just get back into marketing, and we can really ramp this engine up. But the sales team's
Well,
crushing it. They're doing a good job, and we're on the way. It's
you
exciting
know,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, working on marketing is definitely fun and
Because you
getting
can't
back to
stop.
it.
So
Yeah.
Tiff, I'll tell you one thing. But look, we made a mistake, but I knew this was going to happen, and I feel like we still had to, even though I knew it was a massive mistake. First week in October, it's like, okay, we have two attorneys leaving. One died. Adam's back in. We just hired one who needs some time. We need to cut the marketing spend just for 2 weeks. And I didn't want to do it, but I had to listen to my team, and we did. And then, of course, October was a very slow month. And then by the end of October, I'm like, I don't care. We have to put it back on. Right. And we did. And November was an amazing month. And December has been an amazing month for us as well. So the lesson is you really should never stop marketing ever, which I know I've been taught that for 10 years. But I think this was a little bit of a unique circumstance where we had to. But I made sure it only lasted 2 weeks. But it probably affected us for 4.
I mean, it's good advice. Never stop marketing, but we live in the real world. And when you're running a business, you have to make tough choices. And hopefully it's something you can come back from really quick. 2 weeks is nothing. Sometimes I talk to law firms and I'm like blown away. It's like, okay, so when was the last time you guys thought about marketing? Like, oh, we haven't had anyone work on marketing for 2 years. I talked to a guy who's been in business for like 15 years and has never marketed, but in spite of that, actually has a pretty good internet presence. And you mentioned
No,
earlier, and I just want to say this, I probably said it on another podcast, but like it's so funny how we've come full circle on brand. And I think a lot of people had the mindset that brand is like the enemy or the opposite of direct response marketing. But they're really just two strategies that give you two different types of outcomes, and both outcomes are important. And so it's not a this or that. It's, you need both for sure.
right.
And everyone's coming around on brand again. And when I look at marketing plans we're implementing in 2026, authority building is among them because that's what helps
Yes.
SEO, AI, all that cute stuff.
Well,
Um,
exactly. That's why one of the reasons I got back into this major networking group, or got really involved as more of the brand of Adam, as not just, hey, if something bad happens, call me, but also as, to be able to share my knowledge that I've learned from people like you, from Charlie, from Ben, from many others out there in the local South Florida market. And exactly, so there's so many aspects of brand. Now, having the consistent fonts and colors, that can wait personally, I think, until you hit at least 7 figures, my personal opinion. But the way that you treat people, the way that you do the work, the relationships, that is a big part of authority building and brand building. Your reputation is your brand.
oh yeah.
And so I think that should be done day one.
Oh yeah. It's more important for me for people to know Tiffany Swedensky than it is Sharp Cookie.
Right.
And I like the brand, but I know I'm going to do a logo redesign, something like that down the road. And so that's just a good reason not to do anything with it and then focus on you. And this is particularly true for lawyers because you guys get a lot of referrals.
And obviously, I can talk about, because I've learned that as well recently, where it's like, look at some of the big people. It's Jen Gore. It's not her firm. Nobody cares about her firm. They care about her, right? And stuff. And a lot of those, Mike Morse, right? Like they care about him. He's the brand,
Yeah.
even though he's not doing the work, right? So trying to learn a lot from people like them.
It's definitely the influencer culture these days. And what do they say? Like people follow people, not brands. But yet branding is still important. We're working on one piece of advice I give all marketers is just increase the number of times people talk about you on the internet. And that simplifies something that's actually probably pretty complicated, but just getting people to mention your brand name on their website, on a directory, has a measurable effect on performance. But that's just SEO
Right.
stuff. Like
Well,
if you want,
but that's even the chat GPT, the semantic searches is helping a lot. I mean, obviously we all want links, but even if there's no links, I know chat's algorithm has a big focus on that, on just the mentions as well, and the semantic, because
yeah,
reputation.
linkless brand mentions is what I heard it called, and I'm going to stick with it because, yeah, it's not the backlink anymore. It's the name where branding definitely comes into play. Well, we're almost to the end of our recording time. So I will ask my last two questions, which we talked about quite a lot. And you just have an amazing story for the past 6 months. I mean, so you
Yeah.
said all that happened with you in the last 6 months. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were some things in the summer, but really the heavy stuff was after Labor Day. But the transition period started in about June.
Well, I mean, you definitely had like a hectic 6 months, and hopefully you'll take some time to rest pretty soon. But is there anything that we didn't talk about that you were planning on covering in the podcast?
Well, a million things, of course, but I'm going to use this opportunity to say that our good friend Charlie Mann was correct. I've fought with him multiple times on his podcast and in person about his levels of leadership and levels of law firm growth. And I've said, but Charlie, why can't it be a family? Why can't it be, right? And he's like, Adam, you're the captain of the ship now. That's where you're at. And you're really moving into the captain of the ship and the leader of leaders. And I pushed back, but I think he was absolutely right. Especially that's one of the things that this transition taught me is that now you could still be the captain of the ship and the leader of leaders and care deeply for people and look out for your team. But at the end of the day, this is a business, it's a professional services business. This is the revenue engine for myself, my family, my life. And one of the things I really learned through this experience is that I have to make the best decisions for the firm as an entity and not for individual people who, as much as you like them, as much as I like them, there will be a time when they decide that they have to do what they perceive as the best thing for them. And that's okay. But I made a lot of decisions over the last 3 or 4 years in trying to keep people happy instead of worrying about what was best for the business. Now, of course, when the business does well, when the people are happy and do well, it makes the business do well. But when it's one versus the other, I put the person over the business. And those are things that I'll never do again. So that's what you didn't ask me. But if Charlie listens to this, then he'll know and he'll hear my shout out that he was right.
Yeah, we'll have to tag him for sure.
Yeah.
And I would add on to that, but we're at the end of the time. So where do you want people to go learn more about you, your firm, your team, all that good stuff?
We're easy to find. Rossen Law Firm, Adam Rossen, two S's. Really, LinkedIn is my new jam. I mean, we have fun on Instagram and Facebook, but I'm doing a lot on LinkedIn for my personal brand, my professional brand, the firm. So that's been my big focus.
Thank you so much for being on this show and telling your story. It was a wild ride. So I hope like I said, I hope you get some rest pretty soon because that's what I would be wanting pretty desperately at this point.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you again. And we'll see everyone next time.
All right. Thanks so much, Tiff.